Trying to use my phone instead of my usual camera because all my batteries are dead again. This is going to be a little, probably not so little, story behind the song for the song called Let the Leaves Fall Where They May, because I had one really nice comment on it from a ukulele playing internet friend of mine named Leslie. Hi, Leslie. And so I wanted to just talk about it. The song isn't all completely literally true, but some of it is. You may have been able to tell if you've watched many of my videos, if you look at the background, it's kind of, I don't know if you can really see it that well here, but there's pipes and pipe paraphernalia on that shelf behind me. I enjoy smoking a pipe. And I have quite a few. I have several that need repair. And the ones back there on the shelf I don't really touch that much. They aren't my usual ones. And the song, the pipe that's mentioned in the song is one of those. I don't really use it anymore. But I do every now and then. I'll show it later. Back in the 90s, don't remember exactly the year, mid-90s sometime, my wife discovered this little shop in downtown Seguin. Seguin is a town close to us, and at the time she was working there. And back then we did most of our grocery shopping there because there was no really good grocery stores near where we live back then. So anyway, she found this little shop where this guy was selling all of his old pipes. You might think it's strange to buy somebody else's pipes that they've been using, but this is common with pipe smokers because it's not hard to clean a pipe up. Take the stem off, wipe it down with alcohol or whatever. I prefer using Everclear. It's a grain alcohol. It's basically like legal moonshine. It's not legal everywhere, but it is legal to buy here in any liquor store, which, Leslie, you would call an off-license, I believe. Anyway, so I went there to see what he had, and he had this really nice antique pipe stand, which is up in a shelf. I can't really show it to you, but it was really nice, and that was the most expensive item I bought. And then he also told me pick out some pipes to go with it. So I picked out some pipes, and he didn't actually just outright give me this one pipe that's mentioned in the song, but I could tell that he was more attached to it than any of his other pipes because of the way he talked about it. He had been in the army. He had been stationed in France in the early 50s. He bought this pipe there in 1951, not 1953, like I said in the song, but it was easier to rhyme 3 than 1. So, anyway, that's kind of why I picked it out, because it was something that I could tell he was really attached to. There, I don't know if you probably can't read. It says Longchamp on the stem. This was a company that during the war there was embargoes or bans on shipping, so they couldn't get good new briar from the Mediterranean area, which is where all decent briar comes from pretty much for making pipes. So they had to make pipes out of substandard briar. And they had a bunch of these pipes left over after the war. So there was this company that this guy started, which he named called Longchamp, or Longchamp, I don't know how to pronounce it. He named it after a horse racing track nearby him in France. And they started out making various leather goods like women's purses, wallets, stuff like that. And he had the idea that he would take these pipes that weren't all that great as pipes and cover them with leather. This particular one is covered with pigskin, I think. Could be calfskin, I'm not sure, but it's just bare leather. Some of them are more exotic looking than this. Some of them are covered with like horsehide with the hair still on it. So it's this hairy looking pipe. They look pretty strange. I don't have one like this. Is the only one I have. They became popular with the American soldiers that were stationed there. Many of them were not that familiar with pipe smoking. So newbie pipe smokers tend to smoke hot. They smoke too hard on it, and the bowl will get kind of warm and uncomfortable to hold. And the leather covering on these provided a layer of insulation that made them easier to hold on to. So they became quite popular, and they were brought back to the States as the soldiers were sent back home. So there's a lot of them floating around. You can probably still buy them on eBay and stuff, people selling estate pipes. There's kind of a demand for them now because they're not made anymore. And as far as I know, nobody makes a pipe covered with leather. Anyway, we got all these pipes, and the pipe stand. It's really nice. I wish I could show it, but it's got a bunch of stuff on it. It's got two little drawers. It's got a brass, like this brass jar in the middle of it that's supposed to hold tobacco, but I would never put tobacco in there because it doesn't keep it very well preserved. It dries out too fast if you put it in that thing. So I just have some knickknacks in it, and like pipe cleaners and stuff like that. And it holds, I think it holds 12 pipes in two different stands on each end, on either side of the brass tobacco holder. These little semicircular things that hold 6 each. Anyway, after this, I don't know why he did this, but he was closing up shop just as we were buying all this, and he invited my wife and I to go back to his house and meet his wife and see his place. So we did. And he lived in a place, I'm sure he's passed away by now because this was a long time ago. He lived in a place in the middle of Seguin that's called Glen Cove. That's the neighborhood. It's right on the Guadalupe River. And his backyard went right up against the river. And one thing that's you can kind of expect to see if you're along any river or creek here is pecan trees. They like to grow on riverbanks. They like to grow in a riparian environment. So these pecan trees were huge. They were just enormous. They were the biggest pecan trees I've ever seen. And they were all over the place. And he had, I think probably this property was older than he was. And someone long ago had cut an acequia, what's called an acequia. That's a Spanish word, and it's a small canal. I guess you could call it a canal that's cut from a river so that water can run closer to the dwelling place and be easier to access, so you don't have to walk all the way to the river to get water. And this acequia went right through his backyard, and it just kind of curved up into his backyard and then went back out into the river. So it was this little, like a little tiny artificial creek that ran out of the river back to the river through his backyard. It was amazing. And we were just standing back there talking and all this, and I was just looking around and enjoying the setting because it was really amazing. And I looked up, and this big golden pecan leaf was just coming down like this very slowly, and I just put my hand out and it went right into my hand. And I thought, wow, that's really wild. And I thought, wow, maybe this should be a keepsake. I could put it in a book, like press it like a flower or something. And then I thought, nah. And I just let it go and let it fall to the ground. And that's what that song is about. So the part about the leaf falling in the song, that was literally true. That actually happened. And of course, I still have the pipes. I still have everything I bought from him. One of his pipes that I do use frequently is this one, which is a Ben Wade. That was a British pipe, which he said he bought in England when he was there. And you can see my pajama pants for now, probably. This was another one, a Tyrolean, which comes from Germany. I don't use it much because it's kind of odd. It's in an odd shape, and it's not something I'm used to. And also the brass fittings on the bowl get really, really hot. You can't touch them when you're smoking it. You have to make sure you don't smoke it. But these were made, yeah, it's got a little cap on top, so you can close that and the wind doesn't blow the ash around, because these were meant for sitting outside at the beer garden and smoking your pipe and drinking beer. And when you got ready to take a swig of beer, it has a nice flat bottom. You just set it down on the table and you drink your beer. Then you put your beer down and you pick up your pipe again. I guess I could say one thing about this. It has a briar bowl, but this is a cherry wood stem. Also, it's got that odd bit right there. Most pipes don't have a bit like that. It's round instead of flat. Got that. I guess that's so you can grab it better. I don't know. Anyway, I don't use this one much, mainly because you have to be so careful to avoid touching the brass, or it'll burn you. So that's what that song is about. The old Longchamp pipe, which he was very fond of. And I guess that's all I have to say about it. It's probably gone on long enough. Thank you.